Well, Mawlid is a big time different subject. So let's get back to the topic. Yeah. So, like I said last year, I said okay, if 12 has to be the date of his birth, which is not, by the way. Even in Sirah ibn Hisham, he has two different dates, like not actually 9 and 12, or 9, 11 and 12, something like that. So even in the closest Sirah to the time of Prophet ﷺ, which is Ibn Ishaq and Ibn Hisham, it does not confirm the 12. Now actually things get even more interesting. And I also said that according to the same wrong informations, the date of his death is also 12.
Exactly.
Okay, but that is also wrong. I corrected myself this year.
So he was not born and died on the same day? No.
Even born is not on 12. Okay, now
No,
here's...
but how was it that after 63 years, there is something there that
You know what we have? The thing is, this is a catch. Our calendar was not established until the time of Syeedna Umar. Do we agree on that?
Yes.
You know that, right? Okay. So the dates were the least of their concern in that time. You know that how they determined the dates? Okay, when in the full moon of Rabi'ul Awwal.
Exactly.
In that of this. They did not count like 1, 2, 3 because the calendar, there was no formal calendar established except for known few days, like the day of Ashura, Hajj, Ashura because of the Sayyidina Musa Muharram, this incident of Karbala had not happened yet. So really that's the catch. Otherwise people get confused, like why there's so many different stories about numbers or dates about the Prophet's birth and death. This was the least of their concerns. Who celebrated their death anniversary or birthday? Anyone, even Sahaba, their own birthdays, their children's birthdays. We have
And
nothing.
how about the Khulafa? Four of the Khulafa?
No one. 600. I said last year 500 years after Prophet ﷺ. So this year, sarcastically, I said, let me correct myself. It's not even 500 years. It's 604. Hijrah was even the year when a king, this is the problem, the gift of monarchy. This is what Ali was fighting against. This is what happens when you let monarchy take over everything. A dictator will decide. Like the Shah, the king of Iran, he said, what time is it? His minister said, sir, it's, actually they used to even worship him, the Shah of Iran, before the revolution in Iran. He said, it's 3 p.m. He said, no. Oh, I have seen myself. When the Shah came, if you Google the Shah of Iran videos, the last one, the one that was thrown out by the Khomeini revolution, Rahimahullah, may Allah forgive him, even about him, so many lies. Sunnis have made, seriously, we have made Shia even more strong. They said, look, these are Sunnis. They call themselves people of justice. Even about him. And this man, when he did the revolution, he was reciting Surah Anfal. He was reciting Quran when he landed in Iran. The Imam Khomeini. When he threw him out, the Shah out, just before that there are a few clips on YouTube, just see them. You will see with your own eyes in those old clips where people are praising Shah, oh we miss you Shah, and this and that. They were making sajdas to him. The minute he lands from the plane, there's someone, boom, lands on the ground and does a sajda. So anyway, people get confused about these dates, so that's not an issue. So even those people later, so really it started 604 Hijrah. After that, this king, because he celebrated, so many other kings started celebrating Mawlid, and but it was still in the top ranks. It was not in the everyday Muslims. But slowly it spread throughout the Muslim world. A bid'ah, this is how it started first. And actually the day he did it, he celebrated it in his own army, because first they saw Christians celebrating the birth of Christ. He said, what are they celebrating? They said, they're celebrating the birth of Christ. He said, what a nice idea. What about our Prophet? See, Islam wanted Khilafah. That's why it's not my hobby to talk about this subject. I am here talking about Sahaba, criticizing some of them that people don't want to criticize. We are crying for khilafah. Make dua in your prayers, in your qiyam, in your ruku, in your sujood. Allah, bring justice in this ummah. Bring the khilafah that Prophet ﷺ had established. They stole away the imara of Islam, the structure of Islam. They stole it. First one who established this was unfortunately from a Sahabi, because 30 years right there is completed. Now we're back to the battle. When Ammar got killed, Sahaba became furious. So many people on the other side also had a feeling that there's something wrong, because why people are running away from Ammar, Ammar bin Yasir, and this hadith became even more famous throughout the ranks on both sides. When Syeedna Ali's army was taking over, they brought Qur'ans on the spears. This is a very famous narration. I don't know its authenticity, but all historians have brought this, everyone, that they brought Qur'ans on the spears. My sheikh, I said it's an authentic one. Wallahu alam, I don't know. But this is a known thing. Like throughout the ummah, they know they brought Qur'an on the spears. That, oh, we don't want to fight. So they were surrendering. Now what do you do? In this case, you have to speak for terms. Again, Ali established a chapter in Islam, in our fiqh, that if the rebellious group surrenders, you cannot simply just get them and chop off their heads. Chopping off the head of your enemy, regardless whether he's a Muslim or non-Muslim, is also not allowed in Islam. In the battlefield also, unless it's an accident. You can't chop off the head on purpose and send it in a dish to the king, like they used to do. Prophet ﷺ said, this is a way of Jahiliyyah. You want to bring it back, the way of Romans and Greeks and these Persians? Don't bring this back in my deen. Prophet ﷺ forbade them. So, alhamdulillah, our Muslims so far in this Khilafah of Sayyidina Ali, they didn't do it. Now, when they spoke for terms, they sat down. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari was representing Sayyidina Ali. The mediation happened. Amr bin As from their side, they agreed on terms. He goes on the other side, Amr bin As, and everything got manipulated so badly that they ended up this conversation with cursing each other. Said, oh, congratulations, Ali has given up Khilafah. And Muawiyah is Khalifa. They spread this lie throughout the Muslim empire, that he's Khalifa. Now there was a group, this major portion of this battle has ended. But really, there was no fight at this point, because they agreed on peace. But with peace, they started spreading rumors all over the Muslim ummah. Amr bin al-As was one of them, radiyallahu anhu. He is himself guilty of this own narration in Muslim. Sahih Muslim, he said in narration when he was old and he was dying, he said he was very sad. This is a riwayah of Imam Muslim. 3 things he said. He said, when I was in Jahiliyyah, I fought against the Prophet. I fought against the Prophet in the times of Jahiliyyah. Then I became a Muslim. And then when Prophet died, after him, I started fighting for Muawiyah, strengthening his power. And I don't know, had I died in the first time or in the second period, could have been better for me. Amr bin al-As, that's why we say radiyallahu anh, himself is saying this, that gosh, I wish I had died during those 2 periods, because this 3rd period I've done very bad things to strengthen the power of Muawiyah. Just for his power, this is what I was doing. It is now another seal from the books of Hadith, from our muhaddithin, that this was a fight for power. They wanted kingship, monarchy, leadership. Banu Umayyah, these people who became Muslims toward the end of Rasulullah's time, they were not the same as the Muhajirin and Ansar. And the Prophet, when he was leaving, he told them that I still see germs of Jahiliyyah amongst you. I still see the signs of Jahiliyyah. It's a very famous hadith, we know that. And then after that, another hadith, he said one day he was on a hilly place, And he said, Wallahi, I see fitnas coming on you like the rain coming from the sky. He said, Hudayfa ibn Yaman narrates a hadith, he said, Umar is a door against these fitnas. Umar asked this hadith from Hudayfa, he said, what did Prophet say? He said, Prophet said that this door he said, would this door be broken or opened? He said, Prophet said that this door will be opened, or broken. It will be broken. This was simply talking about the end of Sayyidina Umar's Khilafah through martyrdom. But Abu Bakr died naturally. Umar died through an enemy, a spy assassin from the Persians. Nothing to do with Muslims so far, alhamdulillah. But fitna started with the end of Uthman's Khilafah. His murder was a great fitna in the Ummah. Nobody knew. Now when they're doing these things to strengthen the power and saying he's Khalifa, where did that problem go? The issue of fight. What was the issue of fight? I'm asking this question. What was the issue of fight in Jamal and this one, Siffin?
They wanted to know who killed
Yes.
Uthman. They wanted the qisas and everything.
What happened to the qisas of Uthman? Where is that?
That was the issue.
No narration. No muhaddith talks about it. No mu'arrikh talks about it. What happened to that? So now it's another confirmed seal, another dot that we're going to connect here, that it was not about qisas of Uthman. These corrupt governors who misled our mother Aisha first, now they are joining the other side also and even strengthening him because they're the same family, same offshoot of Quraysh who Sayyidina Ali fought. What was their grudge against Ali? Now let's go back in the history. Ali alone, 22 people were killed by his hands out of that 1,000 who came to finish Muslims off in the Battle of Badr. Ali alone killed 22 of them. And most of them were from Banu Umayyah. Because they are the leaders. They are the leaders of the Arab world. Quraysh was respected throughout the Arabia. Throughout Arabia because they are the matwallis, the servants of Kaaba. Okay, the whole Quraysh. But this branch of Quraysh, Banu Umayyah, this is where they started deviating away from Islam. And they're not immune from it. For that matter, nobody's immune from it. But Sahaba who lived day in and out near Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, learned Islam from them, lived Islam, lived Quran, they were different. They were very different. Some went in their homes, left both sides, some did this, some did that, but nobody was, major Sahaba, the well-known famous Sahaba, stayed away from this group of Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. Now, this issue happened. A group was very angry with Sayyidina Ali. Very angry from his own army that Ali, you were on haqq. Here we have to understand something very serious that is called extremism in Islam. Ali accepted the terms of peace. Okay, at least the battle stopped. Difference was still there between them. Ali still told him that you cannot claim khilafah like this. Your punishment is death penalty, Muawiyah, and I still warn you in the name of Allah, come back. Surrender your right. You have no right to even rule Syria. I ordered you to leave your seat and have a Sahabi of Prophet ﷺ. First thing Ali did, when he became Khalifa, he invited Ansar. He said, you were the helpers of Rasul. You served the Prophet. You protected him. And you've been deprived like this from your right that Rasulullah ﷺ and his first and second Khalifa decided. Umar's khutbah, remember, in Bukhari, Kitab al-Fitan. Bukhari, Kitab al-Fitan, khutbah of Umar. That who has the right to govern the affairs of Muslims, not a Muslim who became 2 months before Prophet's death, someone who became a Muslim. And then we even write him Katib of Wahi, the writer of Wahi. We'll come to that issue also. A separate sheet I have prepared just for this class on Fadail of Amir Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala. How authentic and true are those Fadail? We'll come to that. But here the question is that who is to lead the Muslim Khilafah or Muslim Imara, Muslim state? Those people who are prepared by Prophet ﷺ. Prophet prepared them. Prophet appointed them. And Prophet defined who is to lead and who is not to lead. among his Muhajirin and Ansar, some people, he said, for instance, Abu Dhar, he said, even if there is 3 people, don't become a leader. Even if there is 2 people, you don't become a leader because you are not for that. You know, he's not saying that most scholars and most knowledgeable people are going to become Khalifa. He's talking about administration. He taught them administration. He taught them how to deal with people. What is justice? What is injustice? What is oppression? What is forgiveness? What is compassion? He taught them those things with practical ways. Lived with them. And that's why Umar, when he heard this conspiracy that now Ali is dealing with, this fitna, was being prepared in the time of Umar. But remember, he's a door against fitna. When you understand all these, then you will have the story of Karbala will flow like water. All the misunderstandings and confusions will go away. You will never call Hussein a baghi, a rebel. Ali defined a chapter in our Sharia that if Muslims rebel, or someone rebels and calls himself the Khalifa, this is what you do. According to the Quran, fight the rebel. Same, fight the rebel. Hussein defined that if the government becomes corrupt, then you fight them because now they are rebels. They have rebelled against Allah. They have rebelled against Allah. They are Allah's baghi. They are Allah's rebels. We have Fuqaha, Ibn Hazm for instance. In Al-Muhalla, this is his viewpoint. One of our great faqih in the Ummah who does not even get to the issue of madhab. The 4 Imams. Even before that, simply Quran and Sunnah, he says, don't call that person baghi, don't call Hussein a baghi. In fact, baghi are who? He starts with Yazid. Muawiyah and Yazid. He says, they are baghi. He says the name of Muawiyah and Yazid. He said, they are baghi because they have shifted their direction away from the Sunnah of Allah and His Messenger. From the way of Allah and His Messenger. They are rebels. Don't call Hussein rebel. In fact, Hussein did the other side of the equation, that what if hukuma becomes corrupt, then this is what you do. You're going to have to wake up the ummah. Now, this group, the point of extremism, we've already touched base on the khutbah of Umar. In the last talk, I've talked about his khutbah. What was his khutbah about, right? Last week I did talk about khutbah of Umar in Bukhari Kitab al-Fitan.
No.
I didn't? Umar heard of this conspiracy during Hajj. I'm going to say it anyways, just to be on the safe side, that there are people who are preparing that as soon as Umar dies, that's why he's a door against this flood of fitnas, or the rain of fitnas, wallahu alam. Said Amirul Mu'mineen, Umar used to send spies on all these governors to keep a check on them. And by the way, Umar had ordered his governors that none of my governors will have a door on his house. He could just have a curtain. Forget about the palaces. That's a huge crime. And look where we are today. Look where we are today. That's why when a man came to visit Khalifa and he saw his sleeping, with his shoe under his head, his pillow, he said, and standing on top of his head, he's a Roman guy, loaded with weapons and everything. He could take him out right now. And he woke him up by saying this, that with what justice have you been ruling your people? That you're sleeping like this with no guards? This Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh, one Christian historian, he said that if Muslims had another Umar, there will be no other religion or no other faith or no corruption, no oppression on earth, the way he ruled people with justice. When he heard this conspiracy during Hajj, this is the year before he died, just that same year or 1 year before. Bukhari Kitab al-Fitan has this narrative. He said, Amirul Mu'mineen, there are people who are preparing this. Bukhari doesn't mention their names, but the interpretations of Bukhari and other books have these names. And same people. They were planning that when Umar dies, we're not going to do any vote. People are not going to do any vote or consultation. No ra'i. Ra'i was the word used for vote in our Sharia. We're going to appoint our leader. Umar was so upset, he wanted to give a speech during Hajj. Ibn Abbas, he's a very wise Sahabi. He said, Amirul Mu'mineen, there is common folks here We have common folks here. They're going to get distracted. Why don't you not talk about it here? Because these folks who are going to go back to their own territories, wherever they came from, this is a huge ummah we're talking about. And they're going to get, they will be confused. And they will be worried. There will be so much speculations. How about you go to Medina and talk about it there? I'm sure this is where the planning started from. I know this. Now this khutbah, Ibn Abbas said that I was waiting to hear this khutbah from Umar. I sat next to the minbar. And Umar started with the basics of Islam, about punishments in Islam, about other things in Islam, all kinds of, hudud and quyud and sharia. That law of Allah is the supreme law in the Islamic empire. You cannot use any other man-made laws. And he said, in the end, he said, anyone who dares to become a khalifa like Abu Bakr, because Abu Bakr's time was very different. Prophet died, there was chaos. Someone had to take a stand and take the Muslim ummah to the right direction again. Yeah. Well, we cannot say if this happened, this would have happened.
No,
you should have. That's their understanding. We can answer them with the Ali's statement themselves, that whenever someone says if this did not happen, that could have had happened, we're questioning the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No matter what you do, if Allah has planned something, it will happen. Maybe Allah is testing, maybe Allah wants to teach us something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how would we know all this? So unfortunately, they have done also another extreme. Umar gave a khutbah and said, know this, if anyone stood up in my presence, you see, that's why he's a door, that he wants to become a khalifa on his own, without people's opinion, I'm going to finish him off. I'm going to kill him. It's that serious of a crime in Islam. How dare you take away the right of people? In Islam, a leader does not even beg for vote. People go and seek the leader and they tell him, please lead us. You are the one who's going to lead. Leader does not knock people's doors and ask for votes, because the one who you're asking vote could be a guy who's a CEO of a big corporate. He's going to say, what am I going to get out of it? This is where the bribery starts, and that's why today capitalism is also, the modern democracy is also down the hill. That's a proof that Islam is the only way. They have failed. Socialism and communism, they have failed. And they are going to fail because they are man-made laws, man-made systems. Only Allah's system is for success, as long as we have people like them. Now, Umar warned them so that we understand that this is the base. Ali made a peace with them for the time being, even though they were still in disagreement. Nobody accepted Muawiyah. But this one huge group, about 12,000, I believe. I had a number written here. About 12,000 people left the army of Syeedna Ali. And they are called Khawarij, the extremists, the first extremists of the Ummah. They said Ali is a kafir, a'udhu billah, and Muawiyah is a kafir. They said Muawiyah was already a kafir because he was standing against the Khalifa Barhaq. Muawiyah stood against the Khalifa of Haq, so he's kafir, which is also wrong. Prophet said, my ummah's rebels will kill Ammar. Remember that hadith? He did not say kafirs will kill Ammar. He still called them Muslims. So they're still Muslims. And the second thing they did, now because Ali accepted the truth, he has left the haqq also, so Ali is also kafir. They left. And they became so extreme that if you committed a sin, they would say la ilaha illallah again and make tawbah again, or we'll kill you. Any sin they see you committing, they'll kill you. And they were very extreme, but look at the way of Syeedna Ali. Ali gave them khutbahs. Khutbahs of Ali are a classical text in our Sharia for any extremist. Again, we go back to now this another conflict of fitna. We go back to Ali. Ali gave them khutbahs. Ali said, don't you know Prophet whipped the zani, the adulterer or adulteress? Did Prophet kill them? Don't you know Prophet punished the drunk person after the abandoning of alcohol? Did Prophet kill them or call them kafir? Don't you know that Prophet ﷺ punished the thief? But did he call him a Muslim or kafir after that? What did he do? Did he call them kafir? How can you make people kuffar like this? Well, these are very, very good references, but this issue also was pointed out by Prophet ﷺ in his own life. Surah Anfal, first verse, has a background that it came for. Prophet ﷺ was distributing the spoils of war, and a man comes with a huge beard, bald head, I think, and he said, we have his name also in this one. Nobody has a problem with Shia, Sunnah, or people who like the group of Muawiyah. Everybody knows this group. Prophet ﷺ, and by the way, nobody denies those ahadith even for the previous battles. They are authentic ahadith. They cannot deny it. They just say, be silent. He said, O Rasulullah, O Prophet of Allah, be fair to the Prophet. You can tell me this. I can tell you that. No problem. You can tell your parents about that. Even with our parents, we don't dare that. And who is Prophet to us? He's even above our parents. But even with our parents, we have the right to do so, by the way. You can tell mom be fair. With Prophet ﷺ got upset. His face became red with anger. He said, if Muhammad, the messenger of Allah, whom God has trusted what comes from heavens, if he will not be fair for these spoils, who else is going to be just? Who else is going to be fair? He was so angry. Prophet ﷺ got upset with him. This man left. Meaning, who are you giving advice to? Watch your place. Watch yourself. Prophet ﷺ was warning him. He left. Prophet ﷺ said, know this. From his tribe, you will have people, and like him many, who will read Quran more than you. He told Sahaba. They said, more than us? You know how much Sahaba used to read Quran. We don't need to get into that details. They will fast more than you. They will pray more than you. They will read Quran more than you. They said, what? Really? He said, yes, but nothing will pass down their throats. This is the mas'ala of third battle. All of these three, we have to have the correct aqidah, otherwise we are in trouble.
Was he from Bani Umayyah?
No, this is not Banu Umayyah. Even Banu Umayyah, forget about the issue of tribes here. Banu Umayyah had a grudge. Of course, they had a grudge against Ali and all the Sahaba of Prophet ﷺ, and they wanted power. They were power hungry. They wanted to be so-called Chaudhries. Not the Chaudhry. I know your last name is Chaudhry. Meaning they wanted to be the Chaudhry of the Pind, the Chaudhry of the Gaon. They wanted to have Chaudhrahat. They wanted to have the position, be the chiefs. They are the chiefs of Quraysh. And they wanted to be we're talking about an empire, such a huge, vast territory that, they will be hungry for power. There will be.
What are you talking about the side of extremism?
This is extremism.
Yeah.
And Prophet pointed out these people. And now this is the shahid of Ali again. Ali, Prophet told him, Ali, you're going to be fighting this group. And know that you will be on haqq. And the man you will kill amongst them, one of them will have no arm, basically. He will have just a clutter piece of meat with no bone. He gave full description. I cannot get into the further details. He described the way his arm will look like. And he said, you will fight them. So Syeedna Ali. Syeedna Ali now did not fight them yet. He knows the haqq. But look, this is the way of Muslims. You avoid the fight or the battle, bloodshed between Muslims or anyone as much you can. But with the Muslims, you cannot even take preemptive strike. You cannot even do that. No. Who is this reference here? Ali. Don't. Ali gave them chances, gave them speeches. He said, I will not have you in my army. You're too extreme. No one from people like you will come to my army. But even from the spoils, I will give you the share. You will still get Umar had started the wazifa system equivalent to like a social security type of concept. Social security was first established by Sayyidina Umar. Ali continued that. He said, you will still get that. Or the treasury fund that we give to people, your poor will still get it. But you cannot be part of my army. You're too extreme. You have to stop. This is ghulu fi din. This is ghulu. The term in our sharia is ghulu. This is ghulu fi din, and that's about it. Let's not get to further extreme of fighting each other. But this is how they brought the war. Khabbab bin al-Art, radiallahu anhu, one of the great Sahaba of Prophet ﷺ from early days. His son was also either a Sahabi or a Tabi'i. And his wife, she was pregnant, 7-month pregnant. They were passing by the territory that was major hold for them. But they used to have checkpoints in their territories. They already started making this. But Ali was still not fighting them, giving them respite, chance. They said, who are you with? They asked him on the checkpoint. They said, who are you with? Sayyidina Khabbab's son said that I seek Allah's forgiveness. Don't ask me this question. I'm with no one. Let us pass through. We have nothing against you. We don't want to harm you or anything. We're just travelers. Let us go. They said, no. You didn't answer the question. If you are with Ali, you're also kafir, which we think you are, so let's take you out. They killed him first. His wife was killed in a way that it's unimaginable. Killed her, opened her belly up, got the fetus out, astaghfirullah. Then they mutilated his body also. When these things happened, Ali cried so much for this Sahaba and their family. He said, what is this? I have no choice. He fought them. A huge battle took place, and Prophet had told Ali that, Ali, you're going to fight them. Remember that hadith? He fought them, 4,000 of them got killed. And now after this battle, during the battle they were reciting Quran. People of Ali were all going to abandon him. That what is this? You're fighting people who are reciting Quran. Okay, we understand the issue of Muawiyah, but what about these people? Allahu Akbar. Ali said, that hadith that I told you, he said, look for a man with this description and the dead bodies. They were looking, they couldn't find it. He said, look again, I know he's there. I know he's there. Prophet told me, I know. Look for it. They couldn't find it. Then he went through searching through the dead bodies, and then he found the body himself. He said, look, he's the man that Prophet had told us about. And so many of the Sahaba confirmed. Ali started crying. He said, Alhamdulillah, Ya Allah. Praise be to you that you have saved me, that I did not kill someone unjustifiably. He made a sajda praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This concludes the chapter of all the battles that Sayyidina Ali fought. Huge chapter of our history. People don't want to talk about it, and we actually went through only a hadith, connected the dots, took away all the confusions. The biggest problem with Sunnah is about the battle of Amir Muawiyah and Ali. They say he made a mistake of ijtihad based on some fabricated statements that they attribute to Amir Muawiyah. One of them is that chadar of the shawl of Noor was on him. This is a lie, a fabrication. And a lot of things were made up just to bring him equal to Sayyidina Ali. Like Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal said. Last time we did went through this, that Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, his son asked him that, oh father, what is this matter of Muawiyah and Ali? And he said, son, a lot of people hated Ali, no doubt. And they looked for his faults. but they couldn't find a fault in his personality. Then what they did, they said, well, let's raise the status of the other party. So people will say, okay, they are equal in ranks, they just made a mistake of ijtihad. This is not a mistake of ijtihad. And now when we get to the, after the covering the virtues of Sayyida Fatima radiallahu anha, virtues only, Hassan and Hussein, and then when we will move on to the Karbala, story of Karbala, you will see what has happened there. But Ali's story, this is the conclusion of his story, briefly, again, still brief. Because now when this issue of Khawarij took place, it was finished. Prophet said, you will finish off the major force of these people. But they will always come in my ummah in one or the other way. Today, these people who blow themselves among women and children, is this Islam? They are extremists. They are also Khawarij of this ummah. What religion will allow you to blow yourself among innocent people? Let alone, forget about the people in the war. So who is our reference against Sayyidina Ali? But people of Muawiyah did not sit down. These corrupt people who wanted to strengthen his government, they started a guerrilla warfare. They couldn't do a straightforward fight with him. Even Ali's own forces were broken. With so much battle, they were tired. They started a guerrilla warfare. Anywhere Sayyidina Ali would appoint a governor, a Sahabi of Rasulullah, he would be assassinated by these assassinations. And who are the assassins? The governors and their people that they have hired. They gave him so much hard time that Ali, in the end, he stood up in the masjid of Kufa. He said, I want to tell you of a hadith that Prophet ﷺ said, O Ali, there was a miserable man in the nation of Salih alayhi salam who killed the camel of Sayyidina Salih alayhi salam. Camel of Allah, Naqatullah. And there will be someone in my ummah, he is so miserable that he's gonna get this beard blooded in blood and take your life. Look what he compared him with. The Naqa of Allah was compared with Sayyidina Ali. And he said, Ashqal akhareen, the most miserable person among my ummah. He said, where is that man? Why he doesn't come? These people did not let me run the Khilafah of my Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They did not let me. Why he doesn't come? He made a dua. He said, oh Allah, send that man. I cannot live this anymore. I cannot see Muslims dying everywhere. I send a Sahabi to run affairs. He would send Sahaba. Sorry, sir. And they will kill him. People of Muawiyah started doing this assassination attempts and this and that. And they are not Sahaba, by the way. They are later Muslims, but they were in love of Muawiyah, that as if he is the Khalifa Barhaq. I asked a question. Our Sheikh today did a program in one huge hall in Pakistan. My brother was there. He said, I challenge any, I'm going to quote this. He said, I challenge any Shia and Sunni scholar. It was all scholars gathering. He's alim of hadith. He said, I challenge all of you to bring me one proof in any book of the history, whether it's Shia or Sunni history, Shia version or Sunni version, that what was made of murderers of Uthman, did anyone ever catch them? What happened to that? It was not that. It was not a mistake of ijtihad. Had they done something, then we could have said, yes, it was a mistake of ijtihad. When Ali said this, he made that dua. He told people that I don't want to live anymore. They said, did Prophet tell you that you're going to be killed like this? He said, yes, I'm a martyr, inshallah, I know this. They said, Ali, wallahi, we're telling you, if we caught this guy, we're going to chop him in pieces. Silsilatul Ahadith Sahihah, Shaykh Albani brought this narration. You might be wondering that is Albani working all just for this purpose? No. These are just hadith or narrations that are found through the books. This one I'm not sure about the reference. But this is also a very authentic narration of Ali. He said, I warn you in the name of Allah that if this happens, do not do anything. Because they said, we're going to kill his family also, if we found this guy. That how dare? Because Prophet said he's Ashqal Akhin. He said, no. You cannot kill him like this. If something like this happens, I warn you in the name of Allah. If I am alive, I will judge upon him. You don't do anything like this. Don't harm his family or his children or anything. And 1 week after this dua that he made in his masjid of Kufa, a man came, his name is Abdurrahman ibn al-Muljam, Khariji, one of their leftovers. 3 people actually, they had planned to kill 3 Sahaba, Muawiyah and Amr and Ali. Muawiyah and Amr survived the assassination attempts. Remember, Khawarij had called all of them kafir. But Ali, he hit an axe here right on his head. It didn't open up, but it started bleeding. It was all poison, and so his beard became red. They figured out right there, his people, that he's going to die. He said, I know, this is my time. Allah answered my dua. I asked Allah that, oh Allah, I am sick and tired of these people. I want to run the Khilafah like you want, but they don't let me. This is what they're doing to me. Now he said, look, if I survive, I'm going to decide about his fate. They arrested the man. He said, but if I die, just kill him. Because this is his punishment of murder. Death penalty in Islam. He said, but I warn you, do not mutilate his body, even though his people or others have done it. Others also did it in the other side. He said, do not mutilate his body, give him proper burial, and do not harm any one of his relatives or family. He again advised them the same thing, and yes, he died in a little while. Otherwise, he said, I might forgive him, or I punish him, this will be up to me. You cannot decide. But if I die, then you decide. This is the end of Khilafah Rashida. Imam Hassan, he was chosen by the people, Ansar and Muhajirin, that no one in the Ummah is more. In every battle, he was next in command for Muslims. Very senior, one of the senior Sahaba now. But he refused to lead. He refused to lead the army. We will talk about in the virtues of Hassan when we talk about Hassan. Who is Hassan? We'll get into that. But next month we have to talk about the daughter of Rasulullah ﷺ who lived the longest after him. She died after him. She is Sayyidatun Nisa al-Alameen. She's a master of all the women in Jannah. Master. So we have to talk about her, who she is. Inshallah, next time we'll start this topic. But until then, inshallah, ma'as-salama, inshallah, just 5 minutes. Any questions you have, you can ask me related to this topic. Don't ask me questions about Mawlid. Mawlid is, just know this, it's, my whole family, they respect Sufiya. My father is actually very much Sufi, but he also never followed this. This is a pure bid'ah. Even those who approved it, like I gave references, I have the whole khutbah recorded. You should actually please forward this to people, because this one and the last year's one. It's an open challenge to anyone. That where do you have any hadith, anything from Sahaba, anything from Taba Tabi'in, anything from Muhaddithin, anything from Fuqaha? Where did this come from? Find anything. And even the dates are not sure. Those who said you can do it, Imam Jalaluddin Suyuti, one of the great Imams of Sunnah, a lot of people say, oh, because this Shaykh said so, we'll do it. In the about 600 years ago, I believe 600 years ago, he said, well, do it because people remember the Prophet. You know what date he gave? He said, according to my calculation, Prophet was born in the month of Ramadan. So they have to, one way or the other, they have to leave 12th of Rabi'ul Awwal. They have no choice. So anyway, any questions related to this talk that we had today? Anything about that?